You guys are watching Minnesota Vikings Now. I am Tom Downey. Caught up in all the chaos that was the NFL trade deadline, there is unfortunate news to pass along. Former Vikings coach Adam Zimmer passed away this week, the son of former Vikings head coach Mike Zimmer. The real cause of death is not known, not that that's really any of our business, but it is a very heartbreaking and sad moment. So if you're comfortable, you can head down to the comments section and type in RIP. We'll move now to football stuff for the Minnesota Vikings. The trade deadline is over. Minnesota made the awesome move to go out and get T.J Hockenson. Are they done making moves? I'm not so sure. We're taking a look today at 10 Vikings free agent targets, beginning at number 1 with perhaps the most readily available and most talented free agent, Odell Beckham Jr., the wide receiver who's been linked to Minnesota, if only because he and Justin Jefferson are boys, part of the LSU brotherhood there. Beckham was awesome, more so late in his year with the LA Rams. The playoff stretch he was on was very impressive. He was successful. He might have won Super Bowl MVP had he not blown out his ACL. The issue with Beckham is not the talent or the production. It's twofold. It's the health and the money. Beckham is not going to be healthy until, per the latest reports, late November, early December. Not ideal timing from that end. And he wanted a big deal from the Rams. We're talking upwards of the Michael Gallup contract, which was, $12 to $15 million per year. That probably has dipped now since we're in November, but figuring out the money is a big factor there. With the addition of T.J. Hockenson, playmaker number 3 at receivers, tight end isn't as big of a need, but imagine a Vikings offense with Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Hockenson, and then Odell Beckham. That is terrifying for opposing defenses and would be, I think, it would be the best skill group in the entire NFL. So if you're the Vikings, maybe you don't get involved in a bidding war, but maybe you at least call about Odell Beckham closer to when he's going to be healthy. Number 2, the name that I know many Vikings fans want, Ndamukong Suh. Minnesota was one of the obvious teams in the mix for Suh. The Browns and Raiders and Vikings have been the 3 most heavily linked teams to Suh back in NFL free agency. But now we're in November, and Suh is not signed, which is curious and frankly downright surprising. He had 6 sacks and 7 TFLs last year. His tackle numbers had begun to dip. He is not a full down player, not that any really defensive lineman is. He's not an every down player, but he can still contribute to an NFL team. I think the age, Suh's old, like a lot older than people realize, and the money are big factors here. There's a reason why every player on this list is unsigned in November, right? He wanted $9 million per year. Nobody came close to that. If he's willing to go sign with a contender for maybe a lot closer to the vet min, we saw Anthony Barr sign for $2 million with the Cowboys. Different positions, different players. That could be a similar figure there. I think Minnesota makes sense for Suh. Imagine a front of Dalvin Tomlinson, Harrison Phillips, and Suh when you're trying to stop the run. That's a really good trio up front. Sorry, Blacklock and Jonathan Bullard and Ezi Otomewo, etc. That's a good rotation group from there. But you add Suh to that front, I think we feel better about that Vikings defense. Those are the 2 big names. You got more coming up here. If you could only pick one to sign, and we'll say the money looks similar from that perspective, who would it be? OBJ for Odell Beckham Jr. or Suh for Ndamukong Suh? It's the pinned comment on today's show, so if the ad break comes here on YouTube, great, take advantage. Head down there at the pinned comment and pick one to sign. Sidney Jones, the cornerback, is next up here. Nobody claimed him off of waivers following his release from the Seattle Seahawks, which should raise some question marks, etc. Jones started some games back in 2021 for the Seattle Seahawks. Now, he wasn't elite, but he was serviceable. He was better than, Bashaud Breeland was last year, to pick a random name for no particular reason, right? Jones is an outside corner. With Andrew Booth, Caleb Evans not playing that much, I don't know if outside corner is the biggest need for Minnesota, but I would not be mad about it. Obviously, Patrick Peterson's going to have a great game. He is very familiar with what the Cardinals do on offense because Cliff's bad. But if you want some cornerback depth, I think Sidney Jones is the best available option in a pretty thin group. Number 4 is Sheldon Richardson. That is the defensive tackle, who, of course, Vikings fans know quite well. I will make note we are now in the former Vikings stage of today's video. We'll go in depth on Richardson and another former Vikings defensive tackle there at number 5. But first, a new sponsor here. That is established titles. You probably don't know what they are. Allow myself to explain. Established titles is a fun, unique, novel way to A, get yourself lord or lady in your own title, and preserve the natural woodlands of Scotland and help global reforestation efforts in the process. You see the little private estate in Scotland where your square foot of land with a unique plot number is. Based on the old historic Scottish custom where landowners are referred to lairds or lords and ladies in English, you can buy a square foot of land, get a certificate. I have mine right here, both on screen and in my hands, and we'll show you in a moment. And then they will plant a tree via one tree planted and trees for the future to support global reforestation efforts. You can then add lord or lady to like your credit card, your plane ticket, maybe your dating profile. If you're not having the most success, maybe that'll get you some more swipe rights there. Excuse me. It is swipe right? That's what it is? Okay, yeah, I'm not been married for years. I don't know what the dating game apps are anymore. Get 10% off when you head over to establishedtitles.com/chat and use promo code chat. You can get a plot of land by us here at Chat Sports. I got my certificate right here. It's now Lord Thomas Downey. Wife doesn't like it when I make her call me that, but it's funny. Establishedtitles.com/chat. Promo code chat gets 10% off. The perfect last-minute holiday gift this season. All right, back to another former Viking defensive lineman, Linval Joseph. These two were different styles of player. Joseph, more of that really focused on stopping the run. Richardson has flashed more as a pass rusher. I'm a bit surprised Richardson remains unsigned. I think he might be a little bit gassed, and I kind of think Joseph is as well. But Richardson and Joseph could contribute up front. Lesser options than Ndamukong Suh, but maybe someone worth considering. Continuing along in our Vikings legend category, Mackensie Alexander. Hey, Chandon Sullivan's been up and down. Of the nickels, Alexander probably is one of the better ones out there. It's also not saying that much. Look, we are in November. Outside of the top 5 free agents, it's not like it's a really good group, because if they were good, they'd be signed already, or if there wasn't some big issue there. Alexander was not that great last season, although I think we can blame the former coaching staff some. I think we can. Maybe a second chance, or I guess third chance in Minnesota would work out well for Alexander. If you want Vikings videos all year long, you've come to the right spot. Hit that subscribe button right now, youtube.com/Vikings today. Free videos, off-season, preseason, regular season, and this year for Minnesota, I'll knock on wood but put it in stone. They're making the playoffs. They're going to win the division. Do some watch parties. They are going to win the division. Coop, don't go, wow, they're going to. The Packers are bad. The Bears are bad. The Lions are even worse. Hit that subscribe button right now for free videos all year long. Number 7, Everson Griffen. Hey, we're keeping the trend going, right? I don't view Griffen as a high-end impact player, but at this stage in his career, as long as he's doing well mentally, you can get you 5 sacks a year. I've seen other players get you 3 sacks a year and continue to be signed by NFL teams, not to name names because I don't feel like being mean today. But Griffen, I'm not sure edge is that big of a need between Wonham and Villain and Jones and Whitley behind a very potent duo of Zadarius Smith and Neil Hunter. If there was an injury, I think Griffen could be called. I actually think for now, Minnesota's in pretty decent shape. So of the big 4 Vikings legends who you could try to bring back, who would you sign? SR for Sheldon Richardson, LJ for Linval Joseph, MA for Mackensie Alexander, EG for Everson Griffen. Pick one for me in the comments. I know corner's been a potential area of concern, especially when I talk to producer Patrick. He's kind of dicey about that spot. A.J. Bouye, number 8 on our list. I do want to be fair but also truthful, so I apologize. I said I wasn't going to be mean, but I'm going to be mean here. I think he's cooked. He did not play well last year. Small sample size, got hurt, very high completion percentage. I think his play has really declined the past few years. Not that interested in A.J. Bouye. We wrap up, though, with number 9 and number 10 with 2 players, beginning with T.Y. Hilton, who I am kind of intrigued by still. Hilton is old and injury-prone, and that's the big reason why he is unsigned. You can see it in the production, right? The catches really begin to plummet. The targets begin to plummet as well. The consistency's not there. I don't think T.Y. has anything more left in the tank, but I think it'd be a fun fit for what Minnesota doesn't really have right now on their roster. Number 10 is Will Fuller. And if you want to flip Fuller and T.Y., I mean, I get it. Fuller has to get sorted out with the off-the-field stuff. Last time we really saw him on the field was 2020. He was on pace for a 1,000-yard season with the Houston Texans and gets dinged for PED usage, and then has a lot of weird off-the-field stuff in Miami, injuries, non-injuries, after his suspension is over, doesn't come back, and it was very confusing there. But he brings speed that not that many teams have at wide receiver. I think Minnesota is actually okay there. That's our top 10 free agent list. And you know, if the Vikings sign someone, we will break it down. So make sure you're subscribed, youtube.com/Vikings today. Free videos from myself and others here at Chat Sports. So if you haven't already, please hit that big red button.